الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome to a new episode of our series إن أريد إلا الإصلاح ما استطعت. Today we are talking about the actual theme of the month, fasting. So have you ever asked yourself why fasting is such a special act of worship? For sure, it's not just because it's about abstaining from food, drink, and desires. There is something more into it, right? That's why today our theme and our topic is fasting more than just abstaining. So fasting is about self-control, as like you hear many of the scholars talk about throughout Ramadan. Fasting is about breaking the bad habits. Fasting is about reforming your character, your speech, your attitude, your behavior. So today, let's actually dig deep into why fasting is a means to transform yourself rather than just abstaining. So if you first look at the hadith that actually showcases that fasting is a training ground, taqwa training camp, as I'd like to say it. And this is the hadith that narrated by Imam al-Bukhari, where the Prophet ﷺ saying that whoever doesn't leave the false speech and bad actions, acting upon it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need for him to like abstain from his food and drink. So this hadith is clearly demonstrating to you that it's not just about hunger, it's about transforming your character. You can't keep lying and gossiping and talking behind others' backs and mistreating others and so on while fasting. Then you lost the whole point. You missed the entire point from fasting. And the other very, very strong indication and proof that fasting is definitely not just about abstaining. Look at when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed fasting upon us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O you who believe, fasting is prescribed upon you as it was prescribed on those who came before you, so that you may achieve more taqwa, so that you would be more mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And naturally, by definition, taqwa here needs to make you more cognizant of your actions. You would need to be more watching for everything that you are doing, for all your activities, your words, your behavior, and so on, in order for it to be conforming to like Quran and Sunnah. So definitely fasting here is way more than just abstaining. And the third one, hadith that is very important, narrated by Imam Ahmed, that fasting, both fasting and the Quran, will intercede for the human being, for the servant on the day of judgment. So fasting will come and tell Allah, oh my Lord, I prevented him from food and desires during the day, so allow me to intercede for him. So and obviously Quran will say something similar about stopping the person from sleeping at night as he was standing up making qiyam with the verses of the Quran. But here, the point here is, the takeaway is, you are not going to be able to achieve such an immense reward, such an amazing reward, if you are not performing fasting correctly. If you are not fasting like the Prophet ﷺ, if you are not achieving the whole essence of fasting. That's why when you look at the Prophet ﷺ, when you look at how he was the top in every single quality, however, he used to be improving in Ramadan. He used to be like making himself even better in Ramadan. Like if like spending, for example, he used to be spending like the most generous, but he was spending like the blowing wind in Ramadan, الريح المرسلة, like the blowing wind. So, and same, the different scholars did write about the importance of purification and fasting and how both of them are extremely interconnected. So now we want to put together some sort of a recipe as to how we make sure that fasting this year is not just about abstaining. First and foremost, make sure to watch your words and watch your actions. Fasting is all about making you cognizant, making you aware of every single action, every single word that you are saying. And if you want to remind yourself and keep yourself always in check, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He said, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ إِذْ يَتَلَقَّى الْمُتَلَقِّيَانِ عَنِ الْيَمِينِ وَعَنِ الشِّمَالِ قَعِيدٌ مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse in Surah Qaf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining to us that I have created the human being and we know whatever his soul, his mind, his self whispers to him. And we are closer to him than his jugular vein, and actually we are having two vigilant witnesses. They are scribing every single action, every single word that he is to say. So if you have two witnesses, two angels on your right and your left, they are writing down every single word that you are saying. Shouldn't you be more cognizant of what you are saying? So the other thing, which is number 2, use Ramadan this year to break a bad habit, to stop a bad habit, to change yourself in one specific aspect. So be very specific and be very focused, laser focused actually, and pick a habit. Let's say spending lots of time on electronics, on your phone, being harsh with your wife, being like not that obedient to your husband, whatever it is, not being that polite with your parents. Pick one specific action, one bad habit, and try to change it in Ramadan. And like you couldn't find a better opportunity in Ramadan. And then the third thing here is, don't make it just like a regular physical action. Like, try to make Ramadan a spiritual action. Ramadan is the month of prayer, the month of Quran, the month where Quran makes a difference, penetrates your heart. So make sure for you to actually get the most out of Ramadan by spending quality time with Quran. Isolate yourself, lock yourself in a room, spend some time with the Quran, either reading and understanding or listening to a sheikh that touches your heart. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, as long as you are capable of spending quality time with Quran. Same applies to whenever you are to give charity. Don't just give charity in a way that is not thoughtful. Think about charity, think about why you are doing the action, and that applies to every single act of worship that you are to do. Try to live it rather than just do it. And finally, fasting isn't just about starving your body. Fasting is about nourishing your soul. And I would want to leave you with this. So the question, would you let Ramadan this year change you, or it will be simply yet another Ramadan? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be transformed in this Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among those people whom whenever they listen to the truth, they follow the best out of it, and have an amazing Ramadan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.